Time is money, cash is king. The best things in life are free. Money can't buy happiness. Money talks. You got it? Today we're going to talk about it. Societies have always found interesting ways to measure value. In ancient Rome, salt was considered so valuable that soldiers were sometimes paid their wages in salt rather than money. And the word salary stems from the Latin for salt, sal. Nowadays, instead of bartering or trading goods, we use cash, checks, credit cards, crypto, maybe not that one. But of course, money is much more than just a measure of financial value. It influences every aspect of our lives, from where we live, to who we date, what sorts of jobs we do, and who we're friends with. Money also tends to be tied up with notions of moral value. Most of us can't help but subconsciously attach a degree of moral value to the number at the bottom of someone's bank statement, whether we admit it or not. So, let me tell you what I've learned about the different ways money shapes all of our lives. I think people think it's gauche or materialistic to openly be concerned with money, but how much money you do or don't have absolutely influences every single aspect of your life. So I don't think I believe people when they say they don't think about money. I think that's just what they think. So most people's relationships with money are definitely informed by their parents' relationship with money and what they learnt growing up at home. So if your parents didn't talk about money a lot, then it might be a subject that you don't feel as comfortable with. And I think definitely in my case, I picked up some anxieties around the fact that, I grew up not having a lot of money. I come from an immigrant background, which meant that when my family moved to this country, we didn't have a huge amount of money. And I definitely think it's something that informed my kind of activity and how I regarded money as an adult, because I always kind of had this slight anxiety about running out of money or not having enough money. Money and friends isn't something that I really thought about up until my kind of early 20s, because when you're at uni, everyone's kind of on the same level. But it's when people graduate and, go into different jobs, some people go into really well paid jobs. It turns out some people's parents are able to help them financially. And everyone's life trajectories and, financial capabilities really take a different path. And that was, I found that quite confronting when I was in my early 20s. So invisible labour is something that I talk about at length in the book. And over time, different people have meant different things when they say invisible labour. By that, I meant, the combination of things like household labour, so domestic work, which generally tends to fall in office housework within the context of workplaces. So it's things like booking meetings or organising Christmas parties, which don't actually have like a specific person assigned to do them, but again, for various reasons, tends to fall to women. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, the burden of invisible labour and especially domestic labour on women increased massively. So obviously, we know that a lot of parents were homeschooling their children, and for the most part, it was women and mothers who really bore the brunt of that increase. And I think in years to come, we're probably going to see the kind of economic effects on an entire generation of women who either had to reduce the amount they work or dropped out of the labour market altogether in order to look after their kids during the pandemic. So something that I was really interested in exploring in my book is the role that beauty and specifically beauty work plays in women's economic circumstances. So, you spend money on your hair, your makeup, your nails, your grooming, and I think for such a long time, and even now, those things are treated as just women being, inherently vain. But in some of the research I did, and there have been so many studies that have shown that women who are considered well-groomed actually earn more money than women who are considered not very well groomed, which is obviously horrendous, but it kind of puts a different spin on the beauty work that women do. And it's not something that I would necessarily endorse. I think that's a terrible, state of affairs, but it did make me feel differently about the time and money that I spend. And in some ways, I guess it made me feel a little bit resentful. I was like, men don't have to do this in order to be taken seriously in professional contexts, and women definitely have to present themselves in certain ways. How much time and money women spend, whether in a year or in a lifetime, on various types of beauty work and beauty maintenance. And I thought it was really important to quantify the amount of time as well, because we think about these things sometimes just in terms of, hard cash and the money spent, but time is money. The process of writing this book actually improved my relationship with money a lot more, because I had to confront a lot of the reasons I feel the way I do, a lot of my more negative emotions, whether it was jealousy or envy or fear or shame, and actually having to kind of figure out my own money story and my own money neuroses in order to explain them to someone else was actually, in the process of writing a book, was actually really helpful for me. And I think it's, my relationship with money is a lot better now than it was when I started writing this book. We grow and evolve with each new experience. Tomorrow's you is different from yesterday's you. But I am as grateful for the bad times as I am the good, because even the bad times have made me who I am. I wouldn't trade them for all the money in the world.